Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, members of the House Financial Services Committee, today I urge you to support H.R. 4655, the Business Over Activists Act. As Republicans, we believe in limited government intervention and fostering a business-friendly environment that allows companies to thrive and innovate. The Businesses Over Activists Act aligns perfectly with these principles. Under the Exchange Act, the ability of the Securities and Exchange Commission, the SEC, to oversee proxy solicitations is very limited. In Section 14 of the Exchange Act, Congress empowered the SEC to prevent misleading or insufficient disclosure in proxy solicitations, which are used to obtain authorization for corporate actions. In Dodd-Frank, Congress also granted the SEC the authority to require the inclusion of shareholder nominees for the board of proxy statements. However, Congress never granted the SEC authority to make it mandatory for companies to include shareholder proposals in their corporate proxy statements. This legislation reaffirms the proper role of the SEC and ensures that it cannot exceed its authority by compelling companies to include certain shareholder proposals against their will. This bill also clarifies that the SEC cannot override state regulations in this matter. This upholds the principles of federalism and allows states to retain their rightful authority to regulate as they see fit. We as Republicans have long championed states' rights, and this bill reinforces our commitment to this core principle. Furthermore, the Businesses Over Activists Act is not just about limiting government intrusion. It's about protecting the constitutional rights of our nation's public companies. The First Amendment rights of these companies must not be violated by the government forcing them to include in their proxies irrelevant and politically charged shareholder proposals that have no bearing on their core operations. Such compelled speech goes against the very fabric of our Constitution, and this bill stands as a guardian of those sacred rights. Throughout the last decade, political activists have hijacked shareholder proposals. Activist proposals currently account for 61% of all shareholder proposals. These activities often lack a vested interest in the performance and return of the company and design proposals to force companies to take stances on unrelated political issues. For example, PETA has forced activist proposals on the shareholder balance of Levi in continuous attempts to cease the use of leather brand patches in favor of vegan leather patches on their jeans. How absurd. These proposals are completely unrelated to the everyday operations of the corporation, and they place large financial burdens on companies in mitigating the proposals. Accordingly to data published by the SEC, a single shareholder proposal can impose cost of more than $100,000, with many firms reporting significantly higher costs, which is ultimately borne by that company's shareholders. In conclusion, the Business Over Activists Act is a crucial piece of legislation that not only safeguards the proper role of the SEC, but also upholds the constitutional rights of our nation's businesses. By supporting this bill, we stand firmly on the side of limited government, states' rights, and the protection of our cherished First Amendment principles per the Constitution. Let us come together and pass this legislation for the betterment of our economy and the preservation of our fundamental freedoms. Thank you, and I yield back.